what do I enjoy most about traveling? Um, it's definitely not spending money. Okay, save your money, and that way you'll be able to travel more. Okay, um, I think for me, traveling is about getting to see new people, hear new languages, and ultimately feeling uncomfortable. Because when you live in the same place your whole life, you become very comfortable and you get stuck in the same routine, and sometimes you lack certain kinds of exposures that you get from traveling. So for instance, where did I go? Like, I last year I moved to Italy. I knew nothing about Italian other than saying, "Oh, bellissima." I knew nothing else. Okay. um, and it took me a little while to learn Italian, but in the end, and it was very hard, believe me, and it was uncomfortable because sometimes your situation is like, "Oh, these people saying something bad about me." You don't actually know, but yeah, getting those new experiences can really help you, I think, mature and also become kind of like a more cultural person. But I don't want to say that becoming cultured, the only way to do that is traveling. You can become cultured and have lived in your village your whole life.
What's the point of learning something that you can just Google? What's the point of memorizing something you can just Google? You're
You
better
are
off
right.
learning the skill, and so make sure at every point, whatever you're studying, that you're learning skills rather than things you can just Google.
That is very true.
Because if you can just Google it, anyone can do that job, and so then you haven't added anything to your employability. So think about what sort of skills you would like to cultivate, and think about what sort of problems you'd like to work on, and work out what that implies you should study. So probably focusing on the skills, but a little bit focusing on obtaining knowledge about the problem that you want to investigate. There are only jobs where there are problems. There aren't jobs without problems. Like, jobs are to solve problems that we have with things. So focusing on problems and skills will give you a pretty good career, I think.
But yeah, like, so other things that we had in the collection, included, I think we had a bit of horse bone, and just a ton of random stuff. It was
What's
not
the worst
best.
thing you found? Like the extreme worst thing?
Okay, in terms of like just responsibility and true intern moments, was when we contacted a family that had apparently gifted this huge collection of Roman coins to the museum, again back in like the 80s. And we were like, well, it says that you gave it on loan. Would you like to continue the loan, or do you want them back? And they're like, we've been trying to get these coins back in the museum for decades. Please give them back. They were our grandfathers. And we were like, oh. So then we had to go find the coins, and not all the coins were there.
Yikes.
Yeah. So that just goes to show that, you need to be professional and keep things in the museum and not just take them home for funsies.
Very relieving to hear that, because my freshman through sophomore year, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to make clothes and basically build my own, not company, but clothing brand. And then as I started learning more about college and stuff, it's not that they looked down upon that, but they made me realize that that's not really a stable job, and that if I wanted to do something, it would have to be a bigger career. So then I thought about more stuff, but then I learned how to sew throughout that. And I feel like how you say that different stuff helps you with different things, or I became a waitress too, and I feel like that helped me communicate better. Or I feel like definitely what you said about little things helping you reach a bigger goal. I agree with what you said.
Yeah, and I'd encourage you to not abandon yet design. Design is actually, I teach design at university level now, and design is a field that there's going to be a lot more of coming up. I mean, all the sort of job tracking, and even if it's not necessarily fashion design, but if it's business design, design's a field that's not very well represented at the university level because it's hard to pin it down as to what it is. It's hard to boil down. So when you say you want to be a fashion designer, I mean, it's not really like one thing. That's actually like 10 things, right? And it's like, so it doesn't really matter what the title is. It's the fact that you get these little pockets where you get to express those different avenues. And so if you've got the ability to sew, but you don't necessarily want to sew all the time, if you don't want to actually become a seamstress and make stuff, knowing how that works, knowing how darts go together, you know, how to pleat, how to layer, all of that information becomes important as somebody who sketches. Right? So if you start drawing and sketching, and if you do this sort of front-end design, knowing how all that stuff happens will make you a better designer earlier on. And that might then take you somewhere else. You might get tired of fashion design, but design is really design. If you think like a designer, you can kind of do anything with it.